In 2024, David Allan Coe broke his silence for the first time in 7 years. At 85 years old, the man who once lived in a cave collaborated with Hank Williams III and Hardy on a song called "Live Forever." But what shocked everyone wasn't that he was still making music. It was what he revealed about the dark secrets the industry had buried for decades, the truth about his underground recordings, the millions he lost, and the conspiracy that destroyed his career might be more disturbing than anyone imagined. David Allan Coe turned 86 on September 6, 2025. No celebration, no public appearances, just eerie silence from a man who once rode motorcycles onto stages while wearing Confederate flags. His wife Kimberly speaks for him now, but even she won't say where he is or what condition he's really in. Fans posted birthday tributes online, but got nothing back, not even a photo. The man who sang about being an outlaw now lives like a ghost, and that recent collaboration with Hardy might be his final message to the world. If you're fascinated by the untold stories of country music's most controversial figures, hit that like button and subscribe, because what we're about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about the outlaw movement. But the mystery surrounding Coe goes back decades, and it all started with lies that were bigger than the truth. In prison during the 1950s, young David began crafting stories that were so outrageous, people believed them. He claimed he killed another inmate at age 9. He said he spent time on death row. He even claimed he met his biological father while they were both waiting to be executed. But when a Rolling Stone reporter investigated in 2000, every single story fell apart. There were no murder charges, no death row records, no execution dates. What made it even more twisted was that behind the lies, there was real trauma. David had been sexually abused in reform schools. He'd been beaten, starved, and thrown into the worst parts of the juvenile system. But when he mixed truth with fiction, it made people question everything. Some stopped believing the real abuse had ever happened. It damaged not just his credibility, but made it harder for other victims to be heard. What happened next would shock everyone. While serving time in the Ohio State Reformatory, Coe met Screamin' Jay Hawkins, who taught him that pain could become power through music. Black inmates took him in and showed him how to play blues guitar with real soul. Ironically, the same man who would later release racist albums in the 1980s learned his craft from the very community he would eventually offend. That contradiction would haunt him forever. The real David Allan Coe emerged when he got out of prison in 1967 and moved to Nashville, living in a hearse parked outside the Ryman Auditorium. His first album, Penitentiary Blues, was raw and honest about prison life, but it barely sold. What nobody knew was that Columbia Records executives were already planning to destroy him before he became too powerful. Here's where the story gets twisted. In 1975, Coe released You Never Even Called Me By My Name, written by Steve Goodman and John Prine. The song included a spoken section where Coe explained what made the perfect country song. It had to mention mama, trains, trucks, prison, and getting drunk. That one song made him famous, but it also made him a target. Industry insiders saw him as too honest, too dangerous, too real for mainstream country music. The underground albums of the 1980s weren't just controversial, they were calculated destruction. In 1982, Coe released Underground Album, filled with graphic content about racism and violence. Only 1,000 copies were sold at concerts and through biker magazines, but bootlegs spread everywhere. By the end of the year, Rolling Stone had exposed the lyrics, and Columbia Records immediately cut ties with him. But that wasn't the whole story. Shel Silverstein, who wrote The Giving Tree, co-wrote Coe's follow-up album Nothing Sacred. The songs were even more offensive, but they sold 300,000 copies in 6 months at $15 each. Coe made over $1 million from that one album alone. When publishing companies threatened to drop all of Silverstein's children's books, the partnership ended, but the damage was done. What happened next would change everything. The FBI got involved after bomb threats hit the Grand Ole Opry during Coe's appearances. Over 200 death threats poured in during 1984. Shows in 47 cities were canceled. Insurance companies refused to cover his concerts. White supremacist groups were angry because they realized Coe wasn't actually supporting them, while civil rights groups wanted him banned completely. The most devastating loss came from a song that should have made him rich forever. "Take This Job and Shove It" was written by Coe, but Johnny Paycheck recorded it first. Paycheck's version hit #1 and stayed on the charts for 18 weeks. It inspired a movie in 1981. Most people still think Paycheck wrote it. Coe later said losing that song was like losing a fortune, and he was right. During bankruptcy proceedings, he lost the publishing rights for just $25,000. Here's what's truly shocking. Coe claims he didn't even know his catalog had been put up for sale. A flood had destroyed all his paperwork, and unlike Willie Nelson, who worked out a deal with the IRS, Coe just walked away. He said, "I chose not to deal with them." That one decision cost him millions. He lost the rights to every song he wrote before 1984, including some of country music's biggest hits. The cave years were real, and they were devastating. After losing his home in Key West to the IRS in the 1990s, Coe had nowhere to go. He ended up living in an actual cave in Dixon, Tennessee. His own website confirms it. Friends like the Allman Brothers and Confederate Railroad helped him piece together a band so he could still do shows. Even his son Tyler helped. Concerts became his only income because the IRS had taken nearly everything else. But what nobody talks about is what happened during those cave years. Coe was writing songs in complete darkness, living off wild animals and slowly losing his grip on reality. Some believe this is when he began planning his revenge against the industry that had destroyed him. The songs he wrote during this period were never released, but people close to him say they contained confessions that would shock the music world. Between 2008 and 2013, Coe developed an elaborate system to avoid paying taxes. He accepted only cash at concerts, refused $50 bills because he thought they were bad luck, and had his road manager collect money before 3 p.m. every day. Nothing went into banks. After the IRS contacted him in May 2009, he stopped using his bank account completely. In 2016, at age 77, he was sentenced to 3 years probation and ordered to pay nearly $1 million. It officially made him a convicted felon. The health decline started in 2013 with a heart attack that forced him to cancel shows. In 2018, he was hospitalized with symptoms that seemed like a stroke, but turned out to be from a severe ear infection. The vertigo made it impossible for him to function normally. Then came COVID-19 in 2021. At 81, Coe needed oxygen and IV feeding. His wife Kimberly, her son and grandson also got sick. Coe spent his 82nd birthday in the hospital fighting for his life. By 2016, he was pawning his guitars just to survive. The court could have sent him to prison, but the judge gave him probation. IRS agents said he had done everything possible to avoid paying. Now, even his guitars were gone. The man who once rode motorcycles on stage couldn't even stand without help. What's truly eerie is the complete silence that followed. His website hasn't listed any shows in years. There are no public appearances, no new interviews, no social media posts. His only money comes from songwriting after 1984, since everything else was sold long ago. His last known recording was in 2017, a live album from the Iron Horse venue. Since then, there's been no new music, no singles, not even guest appearance. In late 2017, he teased a new album on Twitter, but it never came. His total silence shocked fans who had followed him for decades. For someone who once lived loud and wild, his absence feels supernatural. People wonder where he is, how he's doing, if he's still writing. But all they get is silence from a man who once couldn't stop talking. Then came the 2024 bombshell. Out of nowhere, David Allan Coe's voice appeared on Hardy's song Live Forever alongside Hank Williams' third. It was his first new recording in 7 years. But here's what's shocking about that collaboration. The song talks about living forever through music, almost like Coe was sending a final message from beyond. Hardy later said Coe's contribution came from a very mysterious place and that the recording session was unlike anything I've ever experienced. Industry insiders believe that 2024 collaboration contains hidden messages about the secrets Coe has kept for decades. Some think he's finally ready to expose the truth about what really happened during the underground album years. Others believe he's preparing his final confession about the industry conspiracy that destroyed his mainstream career. The timing is suspicious. Why would an 85-year-old man who hasn't spoken publicly in years suddenly appear on a song about living forever? Music industry insiders are whispering about unreleased recordings, secret documents, and deathbed confessions that could expose decades of corruption in Nashville. What makes this even more mysterious is that Hank Williams III's involvement suggests family secrets might be involved. The Williams family has always been connected to Coe's story, especially through his ghostly song, The Ride. Some believe Coe knows things about Hank Williams Sr.'s death that he's never revealed. The 2024 collaboration might be his way of passing those secrets to the next generation. Despite writing over 300 songs and influencing countless artists, Coe is still not in the Country Music Hall of Fame. The underground albums he released in the 1980s continue to haunt him. Those recordings were so explicit and offensive that they overshadowed all his other work. Even today, the songs from albums like Nothing Sacred and Underground album are passed around online like forbidden artifacts. But here's what's truly disturbing. Some music historians believe those underground albums were never meant to be heard by the public. They think Coe was blackmailed into releasing them as part of a larger conspiracy to destroy his career. The graphic content was so extreme that it couldn't have been accidental. Someone wanted to make sure David Allan Coe could never return to mainstream country music. The evidence is in the timing. Right when Coe was at his peak with songs like The Ride climbing the charts, the underground albums appeared and destroyed everything. The bomb threats, the death threats, the canceled shows, it all happened too perfectly to be coincidence. Someone orchestrated his downfall, and that 2024 collaboration might be his way of finally naming names. What's even more chilling is that Coe's son Tyler hosts a podcast called Cocaine and Rhinestones, where he investigates the dark secrets of country music history. Tyler has access to his father's archives, his unreleased recordings, and his private journals from the cave years. Some believe Tyler is slowly preparing to release the biggest exposé in country music history. The Hardy collaboration might be the beginning of something bigger. Music industry sources are whispering about a final documentary, a tell-all book, or even a series of posthumous releases that will expose everything. They say Coe has been preparing his revenge for decades, and now he's finally ready to take down the people who destroyed him. Here's the most shocking revelation. David Allan Coe might not be as frail as everyone thinks. The silence, the health scares, the cave-dwelling hermit image. It might all be an elaborate setup for his final act. Some believe he's been planning this comeback for years, waiting for the perfect moment to expose the truth about Nashville's darkest secrets. The 2024 collaboration proves he can still record, still write, still shock the world. But more importantly, it proves he's not done fighting. At 86 years old, David Allan Coe might be preparing to drop the biggest bombshell in country music history. If you want to stay updated on this developing story and learn more shocking secrets about country music legends, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. The truth about David Allan Coe's final act is just beginning to unfold, and what comes next might change everything we thought we knew about the outlaw movement. The man they tried to bury might be about to bury them instead.